This is the Andre Segovia Show.
Alrighty, so I'd like to welcome onto the Andre Segovia Show, Dave Yates. Dave, by all means, let the audience know who you are and what you do, man.
Hey, everybody. My name is Dave Yates, and I am a touring comedian of 14 years and owner and proprietor, hot sauce gourmand, as I've been called, of Ha Ha Hot Sauce. So, yeah, I am a small business and a micro business all rolled into one.
Yeah, and dude, there's so much that I want to dive into on that front. You and I, we got to meet when you opened for Dave Landau and hosted at the Improv Comedy Club in Irvine earlier this year in 2025.
Yeah, Landau's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, and I'll ask you how you guys met, but I remember I was on a date with the wife, and I told her, well, you're going to meet Dave, because I had met him before when shortly after COVID. And they opened up oh my goodness, I was confused with the Ice Lounge and the Ice House. I believe it's the Ice House in Pasadena.
Yeah, Ice House. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right, because the Ice Lounge is from the Penguin in Batman.
That's a totally different spot.
Yeah, right.
But I think was I on that one too, or was it a different one? Because I remember Dave headlined, and anybody listening, go check out Dave Landau. He's great. But he was headlining, and I did a spot there in the main room after the remodel. So
I think you performed 2 nights there. You might have been one, because the first night was someone named Brian, because it was Matt McClowdy that was up, and then Dave, but it was a Brian, because I did end up speaking with him. But the thing is, when I saw you over here in Irvine, I've heard of you. I just couldn't pin it where I've heard you before. So I nudged my wife, like, this guy's funny. So
Thanks.
You went up there, you did your thing. I loved your crowd work. But when you finished talking about hot sauce, I thought it was part of your act. And then I'm like,
that's usually that is the hurdle is I have to literally say, this is not a joke. I sell this after the show. Because people would always ask me, why don't you do any jokes about hot sauce? And it's the simple reason that if I do jokes about hot sauce, people don't believe that it's a real product that they can buy after the show. So my merch pitch usually is just the fact that I'm selling hot sauce to make money. That's usually where the punchlines go. I rarely make a joke about it anymore. And to be honest, when it comes to a food item, people are like, can you put it on and can you do this with it? And it's like such a fickle thing with people and their food. It's already weird enough that there's a bearded asshole selling food in the form of condiment, so it's like I can't really be like, yeah, it's going to make your butthole hurt or whatever, because then it just loses people completely. So the pitch itself is mostly just like, comedy pays this much money, and I have to sell this because it makes much more money.
Yeah,
that's it. It really is.
And yeah, exactly. And I'm like, he's not exaggerating there either. Which is,
nope.
Yeah, because I'll touch on that there in a bit. And see, after you had stepped off, and I think it was Matt that came up that night. And I'm like, I kept thinking about your house. I was like, was he for real? So when you brought it up again towards the end. So when we were walking down, I spent time with Dave and just catching up, because it's been a while. So then I almost walked away without buying one. But there you had your suitcase. They had all the bottles. So that's when I asked you, and it's like, okay, the heat level, and you just said 6 or a 7. It's like, all right, fine. And I said,
that's because it's like I could make 10 out of 10 hot sauce, but there's no repeat business in that. And it's much more rare to find people that are into that than just someone who likes hot sauce. Because from a business perspective, like, I need repeat customers. I think any business needs, an influx of passive income from people who buy a product, enjoy the product, and then re-up on that product. So for me, like, I have to do shows all over the country in places where mayonnaise is spicy. And so I came up with the recipe about 11 years ago. It's orange, pear, apple cider vinegar, Roma tomato is the base. So it's got a good base flavor. Apple cider vinegar is different from most hot sauce bases. Most hot sauce are based in a white vinegar. And then I use the Carolina Reaper, which I don't even say that in the pitch on stage because people hear Carolina Reaper, and if they know what it is, they're going to be like, oh, that's way too much for me. And if they don't know what it is, they're going to be like, that's still a scary sounding name. Sorry, my cat is being an asshole.
No, it's all right. I've even had dogs appear on the show, so although cats tend to be a little more
no, he's just mad that I'm not paying attention to him. So
cats.
Yeah.
So it's all good, man. That's what I love about this format. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But
no, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, in the case of that, that was the immediate reaction. I'm glad you highlighted the whole vinegar thing.
Sure.
Because when I first tried it, I'm like, okay, I think this is legit. And next thing I know, I'm just downing this bottle. I'm like, okay, I should have bought more. You know this.
No, yeah. I mean, you are a very good customer and a nice dude. So it's always fun for me when I convince people I'm worth trying, and then they become fans of what I do. So it's like it's all relative. Like, the hot sauce helps keep the comedy going. The comedy helps keep the hot sauce going. My first album that's out there right now, it's on whatever platform you use. It's called One Long Merch Pitch. Because if you don't like my comedy, which is fine, and you like hot sauce, I'll still earn your business because you like hot sauce. And a lot of times after a show, people just want to tip you because they had a good time or whatever. So they'll take a chance on hot sauce. Whereas, with a typical merch item like a t-shirt or koozie or whatever, like there's no repeat business in that. Like, you'll be drunk and you'll buy a shirt that says I love boobs, and that's it. The comedian will make the one sale. For me, with the heat level and everything, I don't just want to make one sale. I want to make multiple sales from someone, and that is why the heat level is what it is. Because when I use the Carolina Reaper, I don't use a lot of it, so it doesn't overtake the base taste of the hot sauce. And it's all about return on investment for me. So like, I invest my time and I invest my energy in making the product myself. I do it all: blend, boil, bottle, the whole 9 yards. And then I go and I pitch it after shows, and people are like, oh, you should get this in the stores, and you should do this, and you should. Look, hot sauce isn't going anywhere. It really isn't. So it's like, but comedy, it's like one of those things where you just got to keep hammering it. And if there ever comes a day where stand-up comedy doesn't feel amazing to me and the best feeling in the world, like, I'll stop doing stand-up, and then I'll go devote my time and energy into raising the business to a consumer level. Because I've talked to many people who've owned hot sauce companies. I mean, I've been selling hot sauce for over a decade. So it's like, I run into people that are co-packers and business people, and like, you need to get it into here and there and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't have to. I could, but it will take your entire life. Like, there was a guy who took a little time to exchange messages with me that owns Yellowbird hot sauce, which is a very good hot sauce, and it's a very big company now. But it will take your whole entire life over, because it's a business. And what has taken over my life is the business of stand-up comedy. Everything I do is a foundation to keep chasing comedy. And I'm very lucky that I've been able to make money doing stand-up. And the reason I do that is because it's my favorite thing in the world. I know tons of people who work jobs they hate every day just to live for the weekend. And it's the opposite for me. Like, I do comedy at night and I sell a hot sauce just so I can fend off having to get stuck, And I know tons of people from where I grew up in Illinois that, they have, the picket fence and the six-figure job, but they're not happy. And I might not be a wealthy individual by bank account standards, but I am happy and I am content. And that is the pursuit that I think I'm most interested in. Is I just want to make a living making stuff that people enjoy with people I care about. And so like opening for someone like Dave, I've known Dave for 14 years,
There we go.
you know, and it's, you know, he's one of the best top 10 comedians working today if you've never seen him. But he's also my friend, you know, so, you know, in this business, there's a lot of different types of personalities. And, you know, throughout the years, I've known Dave, and he's someone to model a career off of, where no matter what happens in your career, you still stay writing good jokes and you still stay earnest and nice to people. Like Dave always comes out to see everybody and talk to everybody, and it doesn't matter how big he gets, like social media wise or whatever show he's doing. It's like he's still a genuine dude. And so when I see genuine dudes, I tend to stay close to those people, because that's what I want to be. I want to be a genuine human being and write good jokes and feed me and my cats with money I get from my own endeavors. And I don't think there's any more of a worthwhile pursuit than that in business and life.
No, and in a way, I kind of relate. And so, well, I told you off the air that what I do for my audience knows, for the most part, in real estate construction, property management. That's something that didn't happen overnight either.
Sure.
My father was a door-to-door handyman back in the early 80s before he started his construction company. And then it became what it became. But overall, we're talking about maybe 15, 20 employees, max. That's the rotation. And then I grew up in the business, saw a need, filled the need, and that was in the office. I was in the field a lot, but then we didn't really have much in the office that we needed to manage. So I didn't like being stuck in four walls, like a cubicle life or whatever, but I'm also good at it. So I was able to do it, and eventually along the route to becoming a real estate broker myself. That has nothing to do with the family business, but it works together.
It's adjacent. So,
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like in entertainment, if you want to use the umbrella of entertainment and the entertainment business, you know, I am an offshoot of that in the fact that I do stand-up comedy. It is entertainment. All right. And nowadays it's not as it's not as easy to just do only stand-up. Like Mitch Hedberg has a joke, was like, you know, I'm a good stand-up comedian, but people find that out and they're like, do you write? Do you act? It's like if I was a really good cook and they want me to do something that's related to cooking but not. He's like, oh, you're a cook? Do you farm? You know, and so like now, from a business perspective, a comedian not only has to be good at stand-up, and that's even debatable, but you have to have some modicum of skill, and then you have to be a video editor, and you have to be the HR person, and you got to be your own booker, and you got to be your own manager, and you got to be your own agent, you know. And it's like I am all of those things. In 14 years, I've never had an agent or a manager, because the simple question is, how are you going to make me more money than I'm making me? So that's number one. And number two, it's as a comedian, you know, nobody wants 10% of $200 no hotel, right? And I just saw a good comic friend of mine, he's in Cleveland, post about the pay rate of stand-up comedians, and it has not changed since the early 80s.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
It's Ramon Rivas. So please go check out Ramon Rivas. I'm a guy that wants everybody to eat. So if who I name, you go check them out, they need that. I could name all the famous comedians that are funny to me, but they don't need that boost. And I'm nobody special, but I do believe in, you know, boosting the homies. And so Ramon posted just today about it, where this is what the pay breakdown is at a comedy club. It is $50 to host, $100 to feature, do the middle spot, 20 to 30 minutes, and then it's anywhere from $200 and up to headline. And that just depends on your now level of marketability because of social media. So, you know, clubs like the Irvine Improv, if you weren't already in with them, the improvs in general, if you weren't already in with them as a headliner prior to the shift in the business, you are not headlining a club. Right. So like I'm a headliner for all intents and purposes, as far as I have 2-3 different 45-minute sets. I can do clean, I could do dirty, I could do dark, I could do a combination of those things. But they're not headlining guys like me, because I have only which is it's still amazing to me. I have only 18,000 followers on Instagram. You know, like if it's between you and me in terms of who's going to get the work, and I have 18,000 followers and you have 100,000 followers, we could be very equal in terms of comedic abilities. From a return on investment standpoint, that comedy club is going to book you versus me. They're not taking chances anymore. They are not going, oh, we found this diamond in the rough, let's build them up and make them a superstar. That doesn't exist anymore. You are responsible for building your own audience, and then they want a piece of it. Like, one of the most accurate and honest takes I ever heard was I first moved to LA, and I was at a comedy club on the West Side called the West Side Comedy Theater in Santa Monica. And there was an agents and managers panel there for the comedy festival. And everybody was asking, how do you get an agent? How do you get a manager? And then there was this dude from Gersh who was at the end of the line. And he had like a 3-piece suit on, suit jacket slung over the back of his chair, vest, tie, the whole shit. And he looked like he'd been doing blow all night. You know, he's just tired. And it came to him, how do you get an agent and a manager? And he goes, look, if you're out there making money, we will find you because we're bloodsuckers. He said it just like that. And that was the most honest take that I had heard, and still to this day abide by, because it's like they want 10% of $5,000, 10 grand, 20, 100 grand. They want 10% of that. They do not want 10% of the $50 to $75 that I'm going to get from the hosting. You know what I'm saying? Like, break down the money. So if you're my manager and I got a host gig for $75, you want $7.50? You don't. And it's like, that's the crux. You know, I see a lot of my contemporaries and co-workers, I guess, as it were, complain about the state of the industry. And it's like, it's not, like, I can't change what's outside of my hula hoop of control. Like, I stay in my own lane and I make what I make, but outside of my hula hoop, everybody's got the invisible hula hoop of what they can control in business. And I can control how I let what's outside of that affect what I make, you know, and it's all laid out there. It's A plus B equals C. It's A, you make something, whether it's stand-up, improv, sketches, stupid videos, reaction, whatever. Then B, you find your audience. You are responsible. Where B was always like, you work the road for a decade and you build your audience that way. But that's before the internet, before YouTube, before TikTok, before Instagram Reels. And so B, you would build your own audience, but also the clubs would be like, we really like this guy, we want to push him through. You know, the big agencies would be like, all right, this is someone we can potentially make money on because they're super talented. And I'm not saying the people that have large audiences aren't talented. I'm just saying B is now the individual's responsibility, whereas before it was a collaborative effort. Now, to get to being a working stand-up comedian or actor or whatever, you need to have your own audience. You just do. And so it's everybody's responsibility. If you want to be good at stand-up and find your audience, you've got to be putting out material that gets you that audience. You know, if you want to be a great writer, like, you have to to abide by the preparation meets opportunity thing. So here I am working, getting up in front of someone, and that's my preparation. And then the opportunity is when someone who decides that they want 10% of what it is that I make, I have to deliver. You know, I have to audition, I have to do whatever, or I have to get on a show, or I have to act, or I have to have a successful podcast, because then they come. It's like that guy said, if you're out there making money, we will find you. It's as simple as that.
Man, it's as simple as that. Yeah, and after explaining just how the industry has become, you've been studying the hot stuff for around a decade, you say. How long have you been doing comedy?
14 years.
14.
So, you know, at the beginning, you know, starting stand-up, I start where everybody starts, open mics, and you find a club. And I started in Central Illinois, so it wasn't a big city. We had one comedy club. And I was there Wednesday through Saturday, either getting on stage or helping or just being around the environment. And then a lot of the older guys that would come and headline, they stay at the what's called a comedy condo, which is just like an apartment above the club. And I would sit there, and we would we would partake in green smoke, and they would tell me how to be a stand-up comic. And so then I got good after 3 or 4 years, and I started working the road. And then I worked within an 8-hour radius of where I started. And that's, I was selling t-shirts with my logo on it. And then, the hot sauce came about because I grew a ghost pepper plant that I got from a farmer's market, and it grew well. And I'm like, what do I do with this shit? Like, you can't just eat these. And so I taught myself how to make hot sauce. It was just on a whim I'm a guy that likes to teach himself how to do shit. Like, I'm very tactile in that way. So I came up with my own recipe by watching videos of people make hot sauce. And I'm like, I like this, I don't like this, and I haven't had this before, like with the apple cider vinegar. And, because I'm a person in recovery of 13 years, it's just like, I don't want like white wine vinegar, that has trace amounts of alcohol in it. So I landed on apple cider vinegar. And, the only thing that changed in the recipe is it wasn't hot enough. So with the ghost pepper that I started with, the amount that I was willing to use in the recipe, the pepper itself, the capsaicin content, which is, the measurable heat element to it, I had to step it up. And then so I was using the Carolina Reaper, which was at the time the world's hottest pepper. I just didn't use a lot of it, and that allowed me to put just a little bit in there so you get the bite and then maintain the flavor profile of the orange pear and apple cider vinegar. So I've always grown up like wanting to teach myself how to do things and making my own recipes. Like my late father was like a guy that made his own chili recipe, and his secret ingredient was Tang drink mix, just kind of like a experimenter, as it were. And I still am like that as far as my material. Like, I don't sit and write like a traditional comedian, like, all right, I'm locking the doors, I'm setting a timer, I'm going to write until I get these jokes. Me, I'm a try everything guy. I am a curious person, and I have ideas, and all the ideas that float by, if I deem them good enough after 14 years, it's pretty easy to like know what's going to work and what's not going to work, and if it fits in what I'm trying to do. And I try everything. I do a brand of experimental comedy where, at the very least, if the idea comes in my head, I'll yell it into my phone while I'm driving, and then I'll set a reminder on my phone to do that new joke, and then I work it out on stage. And then I know pretty quickly what I have to do to it, or if it doesn't work, or if it bombs. I try it a couple different times to see if I can change the wording or the order or the timing, or the pauses, and then, I try to work with it. But, if it's something that I like and the audience doesn't like, and I keep banging my head against the wall with it, I just put it on the shelf. And then maybe down the line, if I remember to do it, I'll pull it back down and I'll work on it again. And then sometimes the ideas self-edit. So, between hot sauce and comedy, it's always just been an experimental process. And so the fact that I have a good hot sauce, I just did a lot of experimenting and put myself out there, and people liked it. So I ditched the t-shirts, because you have to bring every size of t-shirt, and then if you do like Nebraska and Iowa, you have to have 4XL t-shirts, where in California there's not as many 4XL people. And that's not a dig on big people. It's just that's just the reality of who your potential clientele are.
Yeah, and like you said, you got to buy all that material up front. So, and cart it around. But here's what I wanted to ask you, because starting off in comedy, because you wanted to get into it, what made you want to enter that world?
I mean, in short, it's just like I had nothing else. Like I said, I'm a person in recovery, and I drank myself to the middle of nowhere, Illinois, because I couldn't hold an apartment or a job or relationships. And, it was like New Year's Eve of 2011, and I was drinking heavily, and like I'd reached a place where I just didn't want to live anymore. And I told my friends, and they're like, you can't just tell your friends you're thinking about unaliving yourself without them freaking out. So like I told them, like, I fucking think I'm, don't want to wake up tomorrow. And they're like, and I'm like, I can never do this again. So I started stand-up as a way to replace the alcoholism, and seems counterintuitive, because, stand-up comedy is full of booze and drugs. And
Yeah.
For me, I didn't touch a drop of alcohol for a year, and I was just pursuing stand up, and I was the guy who had the ganja. And so like I would get my spots on stage by helping the headliners get pot, and this is before it was legal everywhere. This is like you had to know a guy, and I was that guy. And so after a year of not drinking, I said, well, you know what? I can't be an alcoholic. I haven't drank in an entire year. Meanwhile, I was like high as a Georgia pine on stage every single time. And I drank again, and I lost everything in 3 months. Like it was I never stopped drinking. And so I got out of rehab. I spent 23 days in rehab, and I got out, and I went to visit the comedy club owner. His name was Adam Weber, very good guy. And him and his wife came to visit me, and they're like, oh, we love you, man. We're glad you're okay. And he's like, you want to do a guest spot? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. But I didn't realize until after I said yes that I had never done stand-up sober before. And so I can honestly say in 14 years, like I can sometimes get excited to perform, but I've never been afraid to do it. But this, I was legitimately afraid. Like, what if I'm not funny anymore? This seems to be all I have left after being in a hospital, and like I don't have any money, and like am I still funny? And then I got up on stage, I did my 5 minutes, and I got laughs, and that feeling was amazing, and I've never looked back. So that was stand-up wise 14 and a half years, recovery wise 13 and a half years, because like I started stand-up as a way to curb the drinking, and then once I kicked the booze and the drugs, like I'm sober, like I'm not California sober, like I've been raw dogging life for a long time, but it was like that was it. And so, and I can honestly say that over the last 13 and a half years of my sobriety that I've done comedy alcoholically. Like I've done comedy in the same way I drank, where it's like you go up on stage and you bomb and you're like, what am I doing with my life? I can't do this anymore. And then you wake up and someone sends you a message like, hey, we got this performance, we're going to pay you $20, whatever. And you're like, okay, I'm putting my shoes on. And it's the same thing, like where you wake up from drinking and you're like, I can't keep doing this to myself. And then someone's like, we got a free handle of whiskey. And you're like, okay, strapping the shoes on, we're going to drink. And that's, how I've treated the business, but the thing is, with at least in business, like, being a workaholic, nobody's going to ever question you, in this country. And I don't care whether you're in construction or plumbing or art. It's, workaholism is a palatable thing. And I had to learn over the past 3 or 4 years to not force it, to just show up when I'm supposed to and do the thing and stay out of the results. Because it's very easy, especially when you're creative, to put things out on the internet, have people say you suck or whatever, or they just don't do the numbers. Like I could have a set where I'm murdering, getting applause breaks, and it'll get up 500 views, and it's not my fault.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but your brain will go, maybe you are delusional. Maybe you've been doing this for 14 years and you don't know that you're just not good. And it's truly, at the end of the day, when you achieve a level of profession, you have to realize that, stand-up comedy is just something that I do. It's not what I am, right? Like, I'm Dave that also does stand-up. I'm Dave that also makes hot sauce. So I exist without these things. And to learn and to practice to relinquish attachment to the results and just stay focused on the work, and know that, for every 100 people that might not like what I do, there's one person that I tell a joke and it really helps them, or it really gives them a break from their lives. Because I believe, in terms of comedy, I'm at my best when I realize that it's a mutually beneficial relationship that provides both of us an escape that won't kill us. And there's not a lot of those anymore, and because it turns from needing something outside of me to change the way I feel inside of me, whether it's money, notoriety, or whatever, and it moves to a place where I'm just getting up there trying to be of service to the people that are in front of me. Like, they did the thing, they showed up, whether there's 7 people or 700 people. Like, I always see comics, like, when it's a small audience, like, make fun of the audience. It's like, wait, these are the people that did the thing. Like, they showed up, so I'm going to perform for 7 the same way I perform for 700. And it's harder to perform for 7, think about it this way. You tell a joke for 7 people, we'll talk numbers, all right? And 50% of those people do not like that joke. That's 3.5 people, and it's completely silent. Now, in a 700-seat audience, say you only make 10% of the audience laugh. That's 70 people laughing, right? And so to speak on a business level, it is when you can make it just about the numbers, but not let the numbers affect the way you feel about yourself or your craft. That is the sweet spot, I think, for someone who is pursuing an endeavor that fills their heart, right? And I'm not trying to get woo-woo or anything like that. It's just like, I don't care what you do for a living. If you do it in service of other human beings, like if you go, I'm going to show up and be of service to these people. And then in the end, the money will come. And so once I detach myself from any other place, the future or the past, and I could just be in the present moment and show up for things, I have a better time. Like, we're being sold on this idea in advertising and on our phones that there is a better time than the here and now, right? And I'm not going to get into the politics of it all, but it's just simply not true. Like, this conversation I'm having with you, even though it's via the digital space, it's the only thing that I know is real, Like, what I'm about to eat for lunch is not real yet. What happened yesterday is no longer real. And so when I can be present, I can enact a path for myself that leads me to being content. And I think being content is such a it doesn't get its flowers, just being content in the present moment, breathing, meditating, if you're a religious person, prayer, whatever it takes to keep you in the here and now, that's the practice. And I'm just a dude who's been practicing all these things, as well as comedy and business. Been practicing for 14 years. I don't know what anybody else needs to do, but I do know what I need to do, which is practice staying present and practice focusing on what is in front of me. Because if I get hung up on, so-and-so's got this opportunity, or, blah, 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 got booked on that, it's just like it leads to suffering. And this is a very Buddhist principle. It's like, if I'm attached to other things outside of my hula hoop of control, that leads to suffering. If the person I'm dating is what makes me happy only, then there will be suffering when that doesn't happen. But if I can be okay with Dave, if I can sit and be okay in my own solitude and know that, like, if I treat me gently, which is huge in my life. If I know how to be gentle to Dave, there's a chance that will emanate outwards, and I'll be gentle to the people around me. And I'll show up and do a podcast and not think about.
You do reflect on that. I kept thinking about I think envy is one of the 7 deadly sins. So that it does happen because look, I've been doing podcasting itself. In this format, I would say 5.5 to 6 years. I've landed some literal world exclusives, and I've seen almost no plays through my partner YouTube. Thank you very much for that, YouTube. But that's where, but it didn't stop me from doing what I'm doing. It opened opportunities elsewhere in other platforms. And even though I have, I love that example you use between an audience of 7 to an audience of 700, for example. I just finished a live stream just to test for a platform for Parler. They launched their the video platform, and they launched live streaming. And I'm like, you know what? No one else doing it, so let me try. I only had an audience of about 11 people on it, and I had so much fun. It's like, hey, I'm glad you guys are here. I treated them like my largest audience, which is YouTube, or at least 4,000, and just the same. So to me, it's like, dude, I don't know how big or small it is. It doesn't matter. The fact that you guys made time to show up to hear me run my mouth, I welcome you just the same.
Right. And it's focusing on the work, and whether you want to call it the 7 deadly sins or whether you want to call it something, it doesn't matter. It's where envy exists is outside of that hula hoop of control. Right. So, I think it's all saying the same thing is, keep the focus on yourself. And once you relinquish your attachment to the results, that's when good things can be created. And that's from a business standpoint. I mean, dude, I was in sales as a comic. It's the easiest job for me to get was sales, and I've sold everything from cell phones to advertising to drugs, in my heyday. But it's like, it was never about the people. It was always about the money. And that's like, I never like, that's why I sell hot sauce and sell these jokes, because I can believe in the product that I'm selling. Like I'm talking like you said your dad was B2B. Like they used to drop me in office parks in Chicago, and I'd go knock on places where the sign says fucking no soliciting, and I would just walk in and sell people shit and leave. And there is a psychology behind sales, right? And I would rather use that psychology to sell jokes, right? And if you believe in what you're selling, it's not selling, it's being of service.
Yeah. Yeah. Well put. Dude, are you going to retire philosopher? Is that what your goal is there?
Nah, man. Dude, I'm just trying to stay sane, dude. Like, that's me and my buddy joke about it. It is a full-time job not being a complete psychopath. Like it's, and I have to learn about different methods for me to stay sane. And once you caught me today and I'm in a good place. If you would have caught me fucking 4 days ago, I was not. And that's 4 days ago. It's not the present moment.
Yeah.
But that's the practice. Like, you can't go to the gym and just lift 500 pounds, but there are human beings who can do that, except you got to work your way up that way. And in comedy, it's the same thing. Like Laurie Kilmartin, who's very funny. She wrote for Conan, and she's a fantastic stand-up and author in her own right. But, the thing that's happening with social media making people famous is they are only performing in front of people that know who they are. And to truly find your voice in comedy, and Laurie posted about it, you have to go perform for strangers in hostile environments. Like my comment to that was like, some of you have never performed in a VFW hall, and it shows. Like, my mark as to be good at this job as a stand-up comic is you can drop me in any environment and my batting average is going to be up. Doesn't mean I'm not going to strike out, but my batting average over 14 years is definitely 300.
Yeah,
definitely.
And that reminds me of something, because this happened very early on when I started following you. Because as of now, it's been probably like maybe 8 months at least as you and I got acquainted. But in following you on socials, so there's two things, as you were saying. One, how to how to adjust your craft to be better in what you do. Like, let's say you bomb versus having a great night. But what about those situations, like one that I saw on social media earlier, and I kind of have an idea where it might have come from, but you can clarify this. You were responding to some criticism, I think via your stories, about some people telling you shouldn't be joking about this, we should be joking about that instead. Or why don't you take a punch at this one instead of sticking to this one? It might have been political, and I believe it was in response to, say, a more conservative audience getting to know you, because people from the conservative space knew Dave Landau, and they rushed over here assuming there might be also another conservative comedian here, and we're a little shocked to find out that you weren't.
Yeah, well, I don't identify as any political entity. I honestly think that from a psychological standpoint, that we are being made to be in a fight or flight response, which is the lizard part of your brain that says fight, be angry, or run away, or freeze, or whatever. And I'm going to joke about whatever I feel like joking about, right? I'm not on anybody's team. I'm team human being. I would rather write jokes that make you mad at me for poking fun at this thing that you hold sacred, right? And it's not a conservative versus a liberal thing. Like people all the time will come at me for jokes, and they go, "Oh, you're a liberal." It's like, I'm not. Or I'll do a joke about like pronouns, and like, "Oh, you're a fucking conservative." No, I'm literally a comedian. Do not hold what I say personally, because it's like, that's not on me. Like my job is to write a joke that like 80% of the people laugh at every single time. That's it. And I'm in these audiences these days, and I'm teaching people how to meditate. I'm teaching people how to take a pause and not hate each other. Whether they do it or not, it's not up to me, but I'm still invested in the work. And it's like, I mean, dude, I could write a joke about, pronouns. I could write a joke about the flag. That was the most recent one that I've gotten shit for. It was on Threads when I said wearing an American flag is a big red flag. And all I meant was, if you're decked out in clothing covered in American flags, that's a huge red flag. Like, if you're just out on a Tuesday in American flag pants and a fucking, I don't like, literally don't get, oh, yo, I bet you don't think that about the LGBT flag. No, I do think that. I do think anybody, like, dude, anybody who puts any kind of bumper sticker about what the fuck they believe in on their car, fuck off. You know, I want to see the bumper stickers that say honk if you love titties. Like, you know, but that's not what it is today. Everybody's camped up and it's my team versus your team shit. And I'm going to tell you, this is a very great book that I read. It's called The Quiet Damage. And the woman's conclusion in this book is that what we're dealing with currently is not a moral issue, it's a wellness issue. And that is what I truly believe. Because if you think you're morally right and I think I'm morally right, then what is it? Then what is it's a wellness issue, and people are very, very unwell because of these parasocial relationships that they form with people on the internet. And the internet and social media it is engineered, and they've said it this much. It is engineered to give you the shit that keeps you on the platform longer, which sells more advertising. So they figured out, if I write a joke about the American flag, which is not a dig on our service members, it is not a dig on someone with an American flag patch on their uniform. It's like, it's the people that are wearing like head to toe red, white, and blue. Like, you call that patriotism, I call that nationalism. All right. And it's like, I have this premise that I'm working on. It's like, stop arguing with motherfuckers who don't read books. That's it. Simple.
I did
Stop
see
it.
that,
Stop it. Stop arguing with people who don't read books. And if the only book you've read is the Bible, that's completely okay. But before I engage with you, I want you to name 3 other spiritual texts that exist out in the world. Name 3. If you can't, I can't argue with you. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson said this, and that's why he doesn't really debate anybody anymore. Before he goes to debate someone, he says this, and he's an astrophysicist, right? He goes, I'm going to ask you a question before we debate, and I'm not saying that you are, but is there any room in your mind that you might be wrong? I'm not saying you are wrong. I'm just saying, is there space for you to be convinced? And if there's not, I can't have a debate with you. Like everybody's spinning in circles, and the only ones winning are the overlords of social media platforms, right? It's like, I tell people, you don't like my comedy, fine. The worst you can do to me, honestly, is just block me and move on. Because if you comment and tell me I suck, they pay me. Like, you're funding the thing you don't like.
Yeah,
I can literally break it down for people, and they don't get it. It is, you are being grifted. It's a grift.
yes. And you can easily rage bait people when you don't, because it's not healthy. And I go a little
Well, people accuse me of that, like rage baiting, and it's like, it says literally in my profile, like, this digital space is just a notebook that yells back at me. That's it. Like I told you, I try all the ideas. So it's like, if me thinking you wearing head to toe American flags is a big red flag, that's a good analogy to me. And the comments I was receiving is, nah, buddy, it's red, white, and blue. Love it or leave it. Move out of the country. It's like, what? Like, I'm literally doing the thing that you supposedly believe in. Like, I'm poking fun at the thing that you hold sacred. Like, that's what comedy was. And comedy still is that for a lot of us, like people like me. But there's people that camp up and do specific comedy for specific groups of people. And that's okay too. I can write jokes for just liberals. I can write jokes for just conservatives. I wrote on a show that was middle right leaning for 80, 90 episodes. Right? Like, during the whole free speech thing with the Jimmy Kimmel, like, a conservative comic came out of the woodworks who never comments on anything I post to say, well, where were you when the censorship and d. I'm like, I was writing for a middle right leaning talking head desk piece. Right? Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, because I don't need to show everybody the things I believe in. Right? I think it's the equivalent of someone taking a selfie while giving a homeless person $1. Like, you could just do the thing. You could just like the whole, like, I'm not racist, but it's like, dude, I'm just busy not doing racist shit, right? I'm busy not creeping on women at the show. It's just like, I don't even think to like, anybody who says they have, if you have to prove X, you're not X. Like, if I have to prove I'm not a liar, that means I'm a liar. Like, you should just be able to exist on this plane where you know what your intentions are. And that doesn't mean I don't miss. Like, I consider, if someone gives me feedback and it's someone who knows knows who I am and knows what I'm creating, I will take feedback. But for just someone in the comments screaming that I'm a homophobe or I'm a dirtbag liberal, like that's the thing. Those of us who shoot the fucking middle, and I'm not saying I'm like, look, like if you want to know where I politically stand, I am moderate. And that is a thing that should have existed. Like the people don't understand that there is more political ideologies than just liberal or conservative. And like I'm just talking from a business standpoint. Red hot sauce money is just as green as blue hot sauce money. It just is. I'm a businessman, so it's like I have my own opinions. If anybody wants to go DM me, I'll have coffee. You could tell me what you believe in and I'll tell you what I feel. I could do that. But the thing is with the internet, there's no consequences other than, someone getting drugged and piled on, or someone losing their jobs for shit they say. It's like, look, do I agree with it? I don't concern myself with it. I just write the jokes. And you can feel however you feel about it. And if I'm on stage and you're there at a show and I make a joke about Trump or I make a joke about Biden or Bernie or whatever political affiliation that you hold dear to you, and you're upset by that, that's okay. You have every right to get up and walk the fuck out of the room. But what you don't have to do is you don't have the right to ruin it for everybody else. That's it. And it's I think the worst trick that social media ever played on anybody was that their opinions matter.
And that's one thing that I know that there's some people that just show up to some comedy clubs to just record someone saying something stupid so they can just upload it so it can go viral and destroy someone else's livelihood. I cannot stand that. And
yeah, but that's the thing is, if you want to talk about, it happens on both, like people don't understand that if you are on the far ends of the political spectrum, on the morality spectrum, and what did we say earlier? If everybody thinks they're morally right, nobody's right. You know what I'm saying? And it's like nobody leaves space in their minds anymore for they might be wrong. Okay? Like you can think in the gray. It's not black and white. Just as many conservative people have tried to get people to lose their jobs and just as many liberals. It's just I think liberals started doing it first, and, it's just a matter of like you have to ask yourself this question, like follow the money, right? Like who benefits from this? And I'm busy trying to reduce the suffering that's in front of me. I can't concern myself with all the hurt and the pain in the world because I have boundless empathy for human beings. Boundless empathy. I have no sympathy. I don't feel sorry for anybody. You have to be broken in order to get to a place of peace where nothing outside of you is going to change the way you feel inside of you. Not a dollar, not a follower, not anything, not a subscriber, nothing. It's between you and however you relate to the universe. That's the only relationship that you can control. And if you're run by fear and anger and hate, that's a you problem. And until people start taking responsibility for the way they feel inside and not like tearing each other apart in the comments, like, look, at the end of the day, tear each other apart in my comments. I make money and I'm honest about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
some people create content in order to hate farm is what the colloquialism is now. And look, like I'm a dirty jam band fan. Like I make content about the band Fish and people argue with me in the comments, but I'm literally making fun of the fans of jam band music. Like I am one. So like, it's something I can sleep with at night. I could go write a joke right now and be like, hey, you want to know why the Democrats lost? Because maybe telling your grandmother women have penises was a bridge too far when she just stopped saying the N-word, which is not a joke about trans people. It is a joke about progress being slow, okay? Like you cannot force progress, right? And that is from both political spectrums. Like people are trying to force progress or be sold on the idea that a time other than the present moment was better than today. 15 years. No, that 15 years ago doesn't exist anymore. Like we could use history to inform our decisions today, but it doesn't exist on the plane of reality. And if you are being sold on an idea that, tomorrow will be better or yesterday was better, you're being sold. It's a grift. It is a grift. And that's to each their own. right? Like the talking heads that are out there that people listen to, they're if you are camped up in a my team versus your team thing, from stand up to news to anything, you're a grifter. And that's okay. You can be that. I just can't. I won't. And I'm not going to censor myself for anybody. And like, look, but also the whole thing was cancel culture. Cancel culture is not real. It's not. It is just a colloquialism. Like, oh, go woke, go broke. It's a colloquialism. It is not real, right? Because on the one hand of the spectrum, if you're marketing people with quote unquote woke values, or if you're marketing the people with quote unquote not woke values, you're a grifter. And that's what it is. And I market myself as a genuine human being that just wants to tell jokes for a living and sell you delicious hot sauce. I don't care what political affiliation you're in. But if you're doing something in front of me that's inherently hurting people I care about, I'm going to verbally fuck you up, you know? And it doesn't matter. Like if I walk down the street and I saw someone bullying a preacher on the corner, I'd fuck those people up. If I saw someone on the street bullying someone with a sign that says, you know, LGBT lives matter, I would fuck those people up. Leave people the fuck alone. Like people need to practice the old art form of minding their own fucking business. You know, be kind to who's in front of you. I pushed a lady off to the side of the road so she was safe, and she had a big sticker on the back of her car that says, "Don't tread on Trump." That couldn't be further from what I believe in. However, I still pushed the lady off to the side, you know, because it's like I'm a human fucking being. And the internet and the dopamine hits that we get from followers and notifications, that is not a human thing, although it tells the chemicals in our brain what to do. Like your brain, from a psychological standpoint, and I encourage everybody to learn about theirs, is like it doesn't know the difference between a bee and a bear as far as threat. Like a bee flies by, you're going to get adrenaline. If someone starts screaming at you, oh, you conservative dipshit, you're going to adrenaline. And your brain, depending on how it's made up, is going to go, I'm going to fight this person, or I'm going to run away, or I'm going to freeze. That's it. People are stuck too much in their brains. There's an old Zen quote, and it's the Zen or Taoism. It's a Eastern religion, that the thinking mind is a great servant, but a terrible master. And I believe everybody is being mastered by their thinking minds. And it's clear if you want to admit to it, myself included.
Yeah, and I actually agree with the sentiment. I will go a step further also and say spiritual. I just think that it's the great irony in that social media is it's a double-edged sword, and it's usually being swung to hurt people. And those that are behind the social media know exactly what you're doing. They know it's psychological. They've done the studies. That's how they do it, because dopamine fix. But that's where we have to market ourselves. That's the great irony. And it's like, man, I hate that in a sense we kind of have to play their game to try to get to the people that we want to service in a way. So if we can help some individuals to realize that, hey, it's not all about the shop matches, the rage baiting and stuff like that, and we can agree to disagree, then great. Because to me, I don't hide who I am. I'm as conservative as they come, and Christian first, and then conservative. So I have, to me, a moral standing of where my principles are, because I need that as a guide. But I also know that not everybody knows or agrees with what I have to say. So either I convince them that I'm correct, but I'm also open to like, well, maybe their life is a little different, and they probably have an experience with someone like me that they didn't like. It's like, okay, so now I have a more uphill battle. So that's incumbent upon me to hear individuals when
I
the time
honestly
comes.
think, though, it's not my job to convince anybody. It's that's the thing. It's not my job, right? I'm just going to live my life by the principles that have been instilled in me from my lived experience, because morals are a social construct. You learned your morals from the way you were raised, from the books you read and things like that. Those are learned behaviors, right? Like you don't just get crapped out on the planet, like having this, like, you know, like the old quotes, like nobody's born racist. It's like babies don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't concern myself with convincing anybody I'm right. You can either like what I do or don't like what I do, and that's completely okay with me. And the more I practice not being attached to the results of that action, the more peace I have, right? And that's why I said earlier, like, if you read the Bible, completely okay. But you should know that there are other spiritual paths out there that human beings that bleed blood, just like you, have used to get to this place of peace. You know, like besides the Bible, there's the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, there's the John Pampa, there's the Quran, the Torah. There are all these different spiritual texts that people have used. And I just think, like, you find the one that sits right in your heart, and you go and you learn, right? But it's like, it doesn't mean that this person's is less than that person's. Like, it just is. And until people start practicing the isness of it all, like, it just is. The present moment is. If you're concerned with something that's not happening in the here and now, it's going to lead to suffering. If I feel like I've got to convince you that I'm a good person, that's going to lead to suffering when you don't think I'm a good person.
Yeah, like trying to seek affirmation from somebody else.
And that's what social media is seeking affirmation from other people, right? And that is, it's a bad time. So if I can use social media as a tool, if I can make what I make, step away from it, you know, and dude, I get it twisted all the time. Like, the imagery I use is like, I'm, you know, focused and in the present moment. But like, sometimes a puck gets past the goalie. Someday I'm just not having it. Someone says I'm not funny, and I literally will light them up. I'm a human being. Like, it's just, I have a reactionary tendency.
And that's just it. And it's okay to be human. And because today's format, it's not something that will offer it, but it's something that there's some things that you said here that I don't agree, but that's not the point. It wasn't me like, oh, I'm going to invite him to have a debate. It was never about that.
Sure.
It was like,
I mean,
I want to get to know the guy.
But I would also love to know what you don't agree with, because it'll make me consider the way I speak. As far as, I'm not trying to convince you, but I would love to consider what point. At what point did your brain go, nope, if you may?
Yeah. Oh, like right now. Well, it does have a I hate to say religious, because that's what that to me is a social construct, because God's outside religion. So for those of us that have lived it in practice, and that goes for whether they're Western or Eastern religions, they're going to believe in that set that they believe in, and in a way inherently already comes with some guards against being open to the other one. And of course, being us here in the Western society, they're going to see it as they try to label us more as a Christian society. I would actually debate that, but let's just say, let's go along with it. And for those that dealt with Christians, and I agree with your point, if all they have read is the Bible, and even atheists read the Bible and not believe in what I believe in the Bible, but if that's the only ground they have and there's no illumination of what that word actually is, then it can be a detriment to them. That's why I tell people the Book of Eli with Denzel Washington is one of the best examples out there of what it means of a double-edged sword where you don't understand what the word is. Denzel's character had to learn what that was so that he can use it properly, because to him, he thought, no, I'm guarding this. I'm not sharing with anybody. Meanwhile, there was someone else like, no, I need that to control the masses. So in understanding what that is, that's the background of what I mean, that there's just so much more to that. And that's something that, unfortunately, we can't delve that deep in. But where I do agree with you is that we have lacked this ability to have dialogue with one another, because we become so entrenched. And me as a Christian, I wasn't called to go over and beat everybody in the head with a stick that don't agree with me or shun them out of my life. It was, hey, go and preach the word. Whether they believe it or not, that's on them. That's incumbent on them. Like you said, I don't live and breathe by if they accept it or not. We're called to be sowers of the seed and let God do the watering. So if they accept something, great, and they'll come back for more. If not, then it's move on. It's kind of like you don't want your comedy. If it works, great. If it doesn't,
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I just encourage anybody, even if you felt prickly about some of the things that I've said, just be curious. Be curious and leave space in your mind that there is a chance, and I'm not saying that you are, there's a chance that you might be wrong. That's all I'm saying, is because when you close your mind and when you're like, it's my way or the highway type thinking, there's no room. There is no space for anything else to creep in. And anything else that's different or challenges what you believe or think, you're going to throw up arms. It's a fight or flight response. And by being curious about the world and being curious about the different pathways that human beings have found peace, if you remain curious about that, I think there will be less anger and there is less suffering. Because I don't think any deity, God or Heshwa or whatever you want to call God, wants us to be angry and fighting each other. I don't think anger and vitriol is the way. And I am very familiar with the Bible and Christianity. It's just like, so if you want to go down that path, it's just like, Jesus was hung on the cross for the shit he believed in, right? And killed. Am I correct in this?
If you want, it's as in a nutshell.
Yeah, right. I'm like, look, we could go down the rabbit hole. Okay. So if you think that, that's okay. If you think that Jesus was just a prophet in the Quran, which he exists in there, you're like, just find a way to be at peace with whatever you believe in, and you don't need anybody to believe the thing you believe to believe in it. That's the beauty of the human being, is like in a man's head, they can make I believe it was in Dante's Inferno, you can make a hell out of heaven and a heaven out of hell. Dante's Inferno was about Beelzebub, Satan, falling from heaven and creating his own world. It's a very interesting book. It's within our own minds, we'll create the church or the hell that we live in, and that's the power of the human mind. And I'm just saying, be curious. That's all I'm saying. I'm not here to say Jesus didn't get hung on the cross. I'm not here. I'm just saying, be curious about the world around you and take what you need and leave the rest. And like, I'm a do no harm, take no shit guy. Like, I'm just literally trying to walk around, feed myself, sell my hot sauce, which I've probably lost a majority of the audience at this point. Which
no, absolutely not.
But it doesn't make me who I am as a person,
Mm-hmm.
right? It makes me someone who can sleep at night because I leave the door open to have discussions about this, and I might be wrong. Everything I've said in this hour and change, I can tell you I may be wrong, and someone's at home listening and going, yeah, you're fucking wrong. That's okay.
Yeah, well, I disagree with that. Some people, you might lose some of the audience, but I will say this much, that for everybody, definitely go to hahahotsauce.com, get this, because it speaks for itself. And what I guess to kind of, I'll share this a little bit because this is how you and I relate. I was hearing you speak and like, dude, that sounds just like me. Like you said, you do the hot sauce, you can do what you love, which is comedy. And to me, you're good at both, man. And so
thank you.
I've laughed that stuff. I don't have to agree with. I like a good roasting, a good natured ribbing. So why not? So I can laugh at all those things. Well, the thing is, this whole podcast thing has nothing to do with my livelihood. If anything, this has been a grind. It's been something I have to invest in to keep on going.
Sure.
And it's given me the ability to host people, to have different conversations like we had today. And I'm glad to have this conversation brought to my audience, because I don't mind. Hey, you guys think. That's the whole point. Think. And that dialogue can still exist in the world that's become more polarized.
Like, my job when I'm on stage is to get everybody to laugh.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I'm not making everybody laugh, I'm not doing my job.
You'd be out of a job.
Right. What? Or that's what I'm saying. You can perform in just your people. You can do that. You can cultivate an environment in front of you where you're just telling jokes to the type of people that like your jokes. I don't have that luxury. I am not a famous comedian. I have to go up, and if I do this joke and it doesn't land, I have to figure out why.
Yeah. And credit to you, man. You do take the road less traveled, because there's some people that like being safe. And in a way, I find that as their affirmation. I don't like that. You did take the road less traveled. You represent yourself, and you work hard to keep being able to do what you love. And that's my kudos to you. That's why I studied up on you before I brought you on. I knew I didn't agree with your stuff before I had you on. That's like, that doesn't matter. I need to have Dave on. First off, he's a cool dude. He's a genuine dude.
Man. And you've supported what I do. And it's like, at the end of the day, there needs to be more of that. Like I said, on social media, people are like, how are you still friends with these people? I'm like, again, from a fucking strictly Catholic capitalist standpoint, red hot sauce money spends just the same as blue hot sauce money, right? So unless you're being a fucking jagoff, I'm still going to take your money. Like and you're still going to feed my stupid cat that is sleeping over here. His name is Herbert. So if I'm not convinced you to buy hot sauce at this point, directly purchasing a hot sauce, portion of the proceeds go to feed that orange asshole wet food.
And if you don't, you hate cats.
Which people do.
I'm a dog person, but I forgive you.
That's okay. I will take it.
No, but seriously, dude, we can definitely go on, but I also want to respect your time but let everybody. I see it on your the subtitle, but for those that are listening in audio, please let them know where they can follow you.
Yeah, you can follow me at Yates Comedy on everything, YATES Comedy, and you can buy hot sauce or see what I'm up to at hahahotsauce.com. Holidays are right around the corner. I do ship very quickly. I sell them for $10, and I ship it for a flat $5 fee. So if you buy 100 bottles, it's still only going to be $5 to ship it. And you can do that at hahahotsauce.com. If you don't like anything I've said and you want to yell at me, you can find me at Yates Comedy. You can email me, hahahotsauce@gmail.com, and tell me how I'm wrong. I welcome all dialogue, okay?
Yeah, just remember, folks, he makes money off every post on social media. So
right. Yeah, you can tell me I'm a scumbag piece of crap, and they're still going to pay me.
I mean, it's still like a penny, but still.
Right. Yeah, well, they did the penny like they did Lincoln, okay?
That's true. But yeah, for everybody listening on audio, you guys know the drill. I'll be leaving links to everything mentioned here at the show notes accompanying this episode at theandresegovia.com. Dave, don't hang up yet because we're signing off for the audience here. But man, this was a pleasure. And believe me, we can go down the philosophical rabbit hole, and I would love to just to swap perspectives. But this has been a pleasure. And I'll see you in the next one. But I'll definitely see you on the socials.
Yeah, take care, everybody.